Fala galera, sejam bem-vindos ao Crescim Games, quem fala com vocês é o Crescim. Vamos continuar aqui na série rumo à platina de Tales of Arise. No último episódio então, galera, a gente finalmente fez algumas missões secundárias, matamos o dragão gigante lá e mais um outro bicho gigante que tinha pra gente matar. E agora só nos resta partir então pra missão principal, Vale dos Quatro Ventos, porque essas secundárias aqui eu ainda não tenho nível suficiente pra fazer. E essas duas são as duas que vai até o fim do jogo, basicamente. Essa aqui eu tenho que ir lá na Floresta das Corujas, inclusive é o que a gente vai fazer primeiro. Vamos dar um fast travel pra lá. Esses Lodge, onde é que era mesmo? Era aqui, né? Não me lembro se era aqui. Eu acho que era. Vamos fast travel aqui.
You finally made it.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to rest here now.
Temos que reportar mais algumas corujas. Armadura Rompecado Prata. Réplica de armadura vestida por um célebre herói daniano. O pano amarelo sobre a armadura de prata atesta a valentia do dono. A armadura de cobre e o pano rubro clamam sem cessar pelo sangue de malfeitores. Só isso? Só isso. Dá uma olhada aqui. É traje isso? Nós temos uns trajes novos aqui. Mas é essas que a gente acabou de pegar, né? E aí eles têm mais alguma coisa? Ela tem umas opções aqui. Até o cabelo tem. Tá, beleza. Vamos então para a missão principal. Só uma coisa, galera. Ontem eu esqueci, quando eu tava gravando, de mostrar o que era esse troféu dos diligentes no contra-ataque e executar 100 gumes vingativos. Faça inimigos temerem por essas retaliações a cada golpe perdido. Basicamente, quando tu faz uma esquiva perfeita, tu aperta R1 e ele consegue contra-atacar na hora, né? Então é só fazer isso. Vamos ir para Visquinte de novo. Vai pra estalagem mesmo.
Looks like we get to sleep with a roof over our heads.
Bora prosseguir.
I think Hoodle senses something.
Estrada da Lagoa de Talca.
Mahag Sar. That makes 4 out of the 5 realms that I've visited now.
I wonder what kind of lord we're gonna find there.
It doesn't matter. If they try to get in our way, we'll take them down and that'll be that. No backing down!
You're mine!
Hurricane! You're on!
Handy.
Take this! First strike! Eternal devastation! It's on!
Lightning orb!
Severing wind!
It's over! Hurricane!
Eternal devastation!
Dance in the wind!
Not today!
Field! Get on
Here I
there!
come!
Oi.
Didn't even break a sweat.
Jasmim vermelho, erva que aumenta muito a tenacidade quando usada. É uma planta rara, mas extremamente
What's
potente.
this thing?
O coruja tem que estar por perto.
Go no further! In here! Far enough! Let's get you all tucked away. Radiant?
Dragon swarm!
Not on my watch! I'm out of
Take
control!
this!
Back into the fray!
You're on!
Raging cascade!
Wind!
Dance in the wind!
Shattering You're mine! It's over!
Do it!
Nossa senhora.
My fists are crushing it out there.
Ali. Cauda de demônio. Cauda demoníaca que se curva feito cobra. Acredite se quiser. Ao contrário de uma bússola, a ponta não indica o norte. Essa é a 20ª? É a 20ª.
Right, here goes!
Here I go! You're mine!
Soaring light! Prepare to be sealed! You're finished! Damn it!
Radiant?
You're finished!
Freaking I can handle it! I'm out of ammo!
Here I come!
If it's in the sky, it's mine!
Severing
In
wind!
here! Radiant?
You're on!
Let's get you all tucked away!
This one keeps charging us!
That's what my shield's for. Get behind me.
Got it! I'll leave it to you!
You are in tip-top shape. How could a girl ever say no? This is barely target practice. Then why bother fighting them? Because I certainly won't run away from a battle.
There's something in the water. I didn't realize there was a pond here.
Yeah, this is Taka Pond. And it happened to have saved my life once upon a time.
What do you mean?
As a kid, I survived life under the past lords by escaping here when I needed to. It's terrible to swim in, but great for catching a bite for dinner away from Renin eyes. Bear in mind, our rations back then weren't enough to live off of. You had to take matters into your own hands if you wanted enough food to survive.
But how did you catch them? With your bare hands?
That might take a while. Fish are prone to swim away at the first sign of trouble. I'd put bait or a lure on a line and use it with a fishing rod. You must not be familiar with fishing if this sounds new to you. Here, let me show you how it's done.
Finalmente a mecânica de pesca. Pesca. Há vários pontos de pesca espalhados por Dana, cada qual abrigando espécies diferentes de peixe para pescar. Você pode usar esses peixes em receitas, vendê-los por Gaude ou até desbloquear títulos. Então experimente os pontos de pesca que encontrar. Pescar envolve 4 passos: lançar a linha, atrair peixes, fisgá-los e puxá-los. Para aprender os detalhes, consulte controles de pesca.
You're still not done fishing yet? Boring.
You need patience to fish. There we go.
E agora?
You've got to know when to quit.
Ah! Não entendi. Não tô entendendo.
Okay, change of plans.
Tá, pera aí, deixa eu entender.
Reel it in. Good fishers always keep their cool.
Meu Deus do céu, mas eu não tô entendendo. Não consigo pescar.
Nothing's biting.
Deixa eu mudar de lado. Meu Deus do céu, vai ser difícil aprender isso aqui, pelo visto. Os olhos não vêm? Ah.
There we go. Good fishers always keep their
Mas
cool.
olha. Deixa eu ver uma coisa.
And that's all there is to it.
É, não adiantou porcaria nenhuma.
Seems like you need to have good reflexes to catch anything. I don't know if it's really for me.
É, eu digo mesmo.
Kisara? I think I've seen enough.
Oh, sorry. I guess I'm just in my own little world when I go fishing.
Looks like we're going to be here for a while.
That's how fishing goes. You wait for a bite, and then the real battle begins. Miguel told me that different fish live in different regions, and you have to pick the right rod and lure for what you're hoping to catch.
But that doesn't change the fact it's a giant time sink.
Of course, each fish has its own unique flavor, too. And some of them are supposed to be extremely delicious.
When you put it like that, maybe it's worth me trying my hand at fishing after all.
You're just in it for the food.
I was hoping we'd get to fish during our travels. And it just so happens I made sure to grab my brother's old rod before I left Vicente. So, if you ever feel like fishing when we've got a little downtime, just let me know.
Good to hear. Thanks for showing us.
Eu quero ir lá olhar os controles. Ei, pelo visto você manda bem na pescaria. Eu pesco há muito tempo e já montei uma bela coleção de equipamentos. Eu deixo você usar o que quiser, só quero uma coisa em troca. Só peço que me mostre os registros de todos os peixes que você pescar. Quanto mais pescar, mais equipamentos eu deixo você usar. Se precisar de alguma coisa, eu tô sempre aqui. Pode vir batendo um papo comigo sem medo. Especialista em pesca. O especialista em pesca da Lagoa de Talca pode ensinar você o básico da pesca. Se você mostrar suas anotações de pesca, ele dirá onde encontrar os peixes que você ainda não pescou. Ele dará novos equipamentos com base no seu histórico. Vara de Miguel. Vara de pescar do irmão de Kisara. Após mais de uma década de uso, ela não está mais no seu apogeu. Popper de iniciante. Isca de superfície comum. Atrai peixes mexendo a água e fazendo barulho. Da Kisara. Oh, esse aqui é bom, prevenção de nocaute é excelente, sempre ter. Mas vai me custar basicamente todos meus pontos. Tá, eu quero ver uma coisa aqui nos controles. Controles de pesca. Pressione L para selecionar onde. Tá, eu quero ver na hora que a gente fisga. Quando você notar uma exclamação enquanto atrai um peixe, tente realizar outra ação de atração. Ah! fisgo. Ao fisgar um peixe, você precisa reduzir o vigor dele a 0 para pescá-lo. Pressione X para puxar a linha. Isso consome vigor, mas adiciona tensão à linha. Se a tensão ultrapassar a ponta da direita da barra, a linha se parte e o peixe foge. Se o peixe der trabalho, pressione e segure. Pressionar. Talvez é isso que eu não estava fazendo. Vamos fazer um teste.
Oh, we've got a lively one. Dagnabbit, it got away.
Não, cara, como é que pode? Ai, meu Deus, não... por que fazer tão complicado?
All right.
Aí. Primeiro.
Well, that wasn't much of a challenge.
Not too shabby, friend.
Pescadora habilidosa. Pesque seu primeiro peixe. Além de divertido, em dias calmos é uma maneira de encontrar comida. Um roubalo daniano. Deixa eu fazer mais um teste, daí a gente sai daqui.
Reel it in.
Tá, acho que entendi.
Boy, that's a bit of a letdown.
Looks like a pretty energetic fish.
Deixa eu falar com o cara aqui. Olha quem tá aqui, tem alguma pergunta. Me fala sobre as varas de pescar. Bom, a vara de pescar usada afeta a força para puxar o peixe. Se estiver topando com peixes que a vara não dá conta, quer dizer que está na hora de arranjar uma melhor. Me mostra que você pegou muito peixe que eu te arranjo umas varas novas. Iscas. As iscas são chamarizes feitos para parecer comida usadas para atrair os peixes no anzol. Cada peixe tem uma preferência, então troca de isca dependendo do que você quer pescar. Sempre que achar uma nova, é bom experimentar e ver que tipo de peixe é atraído pela isca. Mais alguma coisa? Como faço para encontrar peixe? Se for um peixe que você já pescou, dá uma olhada nas suas anotações de pesca. Deve estar escrito o habitat dele. Na dúvida, é sempre bom consultar as suas anotações de pesca. Se for um peixe que você nunca viu antes, me mostra as anotações que a gente conversa. Vou mostrar para ele. Vejamos quantos tipos de peixe você já pegou. Colina Bela Vista, Vale Congelado, Lagoa Talca. Aqui os lugares onde você ainda não pescou tudo. Que tal passar por esses locais e ver o que acha? Pega mais 2 para ganhar outra recompensa. Não vai parar agora, hein? Esperando alguma coisa, estou sempre aqui. Pode vir bater um papo comigo sem medo. Vamos só curar esse maluco aqui. Valeu, ajudou bastante. Já posso voltar para minha missão. Escudo de enfrentaria. Escudo padrão fornecido à enfrentaria de Rena, feito de materiais leves, é mais simples de manusear do que parece.
I'm always amazed what healing arts can do.
Just doing my job. No need to thank me.
Vamos ver se é melhor do que ela tá usando. Não.
What do you say we check? Hey. Is it just me, or have those two barely spoken a single word to one another?
I know, right? But after everything that happened with Miguel, is it really any wonder?
Kinda puts a damper on the whole journey though, huh? How long do you think they're gonna keep this up?
If it bothers you that much, why don't you ask them?
Why do I have to ask?
How come you walk together like that?
She really doesn't beat around the bush.
You mean Kisara and myself?
You hadn't noticed? You've been practically joined at the hip ever since we left Vicente.
I guess it's force of habit, most likely. I was always ready to protect him, should the need arise. It sort of came with the job description.
Right. From being in the Elder Menancia Guard. Although, Dohalim's pretty capable of defending himself, isn't he?
Having guards doesn't necessarily mean the one being guarded is weak. No one's perfect all the time.
Even so, it's not like they're entirely wrong, Kisara. You're no longer in my employ, after all.
I don't know. I mean, if it's what she's used to and you're both comfortable with it, then who are we to judge?
But she doesn't serve him anymore. It isn't normal for her to keep following him around like she still does.
You know, she's probably right. And a lot has changed over the last few days. I guess it wouldn't hurt to rethink our relationship in light of the new circumstances. Perhaps I'll give it some thought after all. Does that sound all right by you?
Of course.
You might want to stop asking his permission for every little thing while you're at it.
Sorry. It's not that easy, shaking off old habits. I'll probably need a little time to get fully used to it. I've noticed that sometimes we come across enemies who fight like you, and try to dodge our attacks at the last second.
I hate those guys. I can get some hits in when they move into attack, but otherwise they slip past damn near everything else I throw at them.
If what you're seeking is a way to more reliably hit them, there is a solution.
Try to outclass them on reflexes?
I possess the ability to command Earth elemental beings to some extent. They emerge as the land itself and take root on my command. They will swiftly bind the enemies, at which point you can dispatch them.
Huh?
What he means is that he can make plants grow to hold the enemies in place. At least I think that's probably what he's saying.
I'm glad at least one of us understands him. So basically, if we find an enemy that likes to dodge, we should let Dohalim handle it.
I shall do what I can within my modest means to help.
Isso. Se você pretende subir a colina, não esquece de tocar aqui antes, senão eu sugiro dar meia volta e ir direto para Visquinte. Tem algo novo aí? Forjar arma. Opa! Já tem umas novas opções aqui. Escudo emplumado. E os acessórios, como é que tá a situação aqui? Velocidade de movimento. Anel da agilidade. Aumento máximo de PV em 15%. Ah, eu já tenho um daqueles, né? E aprimorar. Os caras cavalo. Cavalo, sério? Se tu precisar dar uma manejada nas ideias, tem uma lagoa lá em cima que é ótimo para largar a linha e dar uma
I'm impressed how well
relaxada.
balanced this thing is.
Tá. Cavalo, agora eu fiquei curioso,
Why are
né?
you looking at me like that?
That armor you wear is standard issue for the Menancian Guard, right?
Originally, I've added some flair to it in a lot of places.
I noticed, especially with that open back.
We guardsmen pride ourselves on never showing our back to our enemies. It's my way of making myself live up to that. Plus, it makes it that much lighter and easier to maintain.
Dohalim, do you have anything to say about this?
Every guardsman is allowed to wear their armor as they see fit.
And you, La?
Huh? Why are you asking me?
All done. Come in.
Fala com o Dohalim.
Care if I hang out for a while? You worried about what's going on with Menancia?
What makes you think that?
Well, you were speaking to Kisara earlier, weren't you?
It's rude to listen in on others you know.
Sorry. I didn't hear what you two were actually talking about, though. I just figured it was Menancia since it was the two of you.
I am but a former lord who has abandoned his post. I'm no longer in a position to lead the realm in any capacity whatsoever. Yet Kisara still seeks out my opinions, knowing full well that is the case. This despite the fact I am no longer her master either.
Couldn't it be precisely because you're not her master anymore? It's natural for friends to want to hear each other's opinions.
I hadn't considered that possibility.
It's funny what you miss sometimes.
Hardly uncommon among artistic types such as myself. When lordships are decided based solely on one's astral energy, it can lead to funny results.
But even so, you still took your job as lord seriously, didn't you?
Certainly. I learned to perform my functions. However, I was less interested in ruling, so much as avoiding life and death decisions. Of course, such a mentality in the end led only to sickening pain and death taking place elsewhere out of sight. I pretended not to see or hear any of it, content to let our supposed peace and equality keep me blind and deaf to reality. I was a fool.
But you're making amends.
I would like to think so. The path ahead is dark, yet I still walk on. I merely pray that I shan't fall down any holes along the way. I do believe it's about time that I retire. Shall we get moving?
Beleza, vamos lá então. Vamos ver o que tem na frente.
Something feels odd here. Be on your guard.
I just noticed none of you other Danans have spirit cores. Why is that?
Both of my parents were part of the resistance in Calaglia. In fact, my birth was kept a secret from the Renans.
Mine too. We always lived in hiding, so I never had a spirit core embedded in me like I was supposed to.
What about you, Alphen? You were a slave in Calaglia before all this, weren't you?
To be completely honest, I'm not sure why I don't have one. All the other Danan slaves around me did. I was the only exception. They tended to keep their distance from me to avoid attracting any attention from the soldiers, because of my mask and all. What about you, Kisara? Do you still have your spirit core?
No. I was able to find a good Renan doctor who's sympathetic to our kind, and had them remove it before I left. They did such a great job, the procedure didn't even leave a scar.
One of the benefits of coexistence, huh?
I know that once the spirit vessel was shut down, there wasn't much need for me to hurry. But still, I didn't like having that mark of servitude lingering on me any longer than I had to. It may sound a little strange to hear me say this, but I'm just me now. Not a guardsman or a slave. I'm my own woman. And this is my chance to have a new beginning.
This sure is one rugged road. You'd think they'd keep this at least a little better maintained, right?
Why spend energy fixing that which is rarely used? Repairs require time and effort, which in our world means slaves, often in great numbers.
Ah.
For you, it may be a simple request. but that can quickly become another's difficult burden. Nobody gains anything without someone expending effort.
And you know, somehow that someone always ends up being a Danon, while the Renans are the ones who gain.
True enough. Ideally,
Yeah.
in a perfect world, I think it's only fair that the ones who need it should be the ones to perform the work.
However, when doing so could be dangerous like it is here, there are many who would prefer that it be others who risk their lives in their stead.
So, what you're saying is that people will just put up with the inconvenience until someone else comes along to fix it for them?
Indeed. And it is those who can no longer bear that feeling that inevitably take action. Much like the Danons in our group do so now. As strange as it may be to hear such a thing from the likes of myself.
It's true that most of the Danons in Calaglia have been resigned to just accepting things as they are. Still, we can't just blame them for...
What are you making that face for? You're not worn out already, are you?
Nah, just regretting I ever said anything in the first place.
Ixi, o lugar é grande também.
Brace yourselves.
Nível 27.
You're mine.
Airborne beast, my specialty.
Far enough!
Laser spear.
Got flyers.
I've got this. Let a marksman handle it.
All yours.
Now, get toasty.
Bird strike.
Right, next one.
My turn.
Already on!
Field.
Take this.
Severing
wind.
Do it. Astral energy.
Say no more!
27, cara.
Primed and ready.
Soaring light spear.
Lightning orb. More ready.
Do it. Eternal dose.
Astral energy. Full throttle.
Agora eu já não tenho certeza se eu já deveria estar vindo pra cá.
Stronger.
Oh yeah? Think you could beat me at arm wrestling?
When have I not beaten you?
Right. I'll just go on ahead then.
Eita, nós. Mas que saco, por que esse Zego não fica parado?
Alright!
Talvez seja a hora de usar minha arma secreta. Eu vou acabar com o inimigo de uma vez. Tutorial. Prendere. Ataque de impulso do Halim. Faz plantas crescerem do solo para imobilizar e golpear o inimigo. Boa contra inimigos de pés ligeiros, pois os derruba e anula suas habilidades evasivas.
There's nowhere to run from my arc. When he slows down, that's our chance.
It's like trying to keep up with a wall.
Prepare to be sealed. Can't get out of this. I'm not done. Win.
Laser spear.
Now one of
In
a bind. Dragon form.
Eat this. Sweet now.
Now we're not.
Magic is up.
I'm not done. Talon hurricane.
Prepare to be sealed, O fleet of foot. Actually, found is more appropriate.
Less talking, more doing.
Dragon form.
Quando surgirem inimigos rápidos como lodos ou macacos, use do Halim. O ataque de impulso do Halim anula as habilidades evasivas dele.
Now. Never. Mirage.
Here comes Fury. Burning.
Intimidated can't get out of
Here's
this.
evil.
Dragon form.
Freeze closer.
Win you.
One last dance in the
Mirage.
wind.
Elusive being.
Sweet now.
I'll face you.
Let's get you all tucked away.
Prepare to be sealed. Severing
Now.
wind.
Astral energy.
Say no more!
Cut.
Well done.
I'll face you. Can't get out of this. Mirage. I'm not done.
Raging cascade.
Mirage. Eternal devastation.
Air thrust.
Take
Photon
this.
blast.
Elusive evil. In a bind.
Freeze
Win.
laser.
Lunar Rondo. It's showtime.
Do it.
Got some interesting moves there, Dohalim. I'm glad you're on our side.
I'm simply glad to hear that I can make myself useful to you all. Huh?
What's wrong?
We seem to have come across some rather unusual objects.
What, you mean that pile of garbage?
No mere garbage, I assure you. Still, I've never seen anything shaped like it before. I'm intrigued.
Are you curious about this stuff, Rinwell?
Yeah. I think he might have found some old Dahnan relics. They look like the remains of a bunch of objects that disappeared after the Renans first invaded.
And yet here I am, holding them without so much as a second thought. I imagine the sight must be unsettling to you.
Not really, just that it must be nice to be a Renan who has time to indulge in stuff like that, unlike the rest of us.
Are you interested in this stuff too, Dohalim?
Charmed may be a better turn of phrase. I simply love objects that can give me a sense of what their maker was thinking, the history that went into their creation. You see, we Renans have hardly any such objects that trace back to our distant past.
I still don't understand what you two find so intriguing about it, though.
Why not? We're talking about our own culture here.
I get that, but it's not like this stuff is any use now, does it? It's just old. Real old.
Oh, but it does. Holding it in your hands like this, one can feel and engage with the distant past in a way no history book can ever accomplish.
I'll take your word for it. Well, seeing as it's Dahnan history, just make sure you're careful with it. All right, Dohalim?
But of course.
Esmagador de crocodilo. Há muito tempo, esse martelo gasto era usado para derrotar crocodilos. Quem conseguisse empunhá-lo era considerado um campeão. Diletante. Obtenha seu primeiro artefato, não de DLC. Sua forma enigmática nunca deixa de chocar e fascinar. Só após os artefatos já confere efeitos especiais. Alguns servem como bônus para uso após terminar o jogo. Dá para ativar ou desativar cada um desses efeitos na lista de efeitos do artefato. Painéis de áreas adicionais. Agora é possível definir 6 áreas adicionais, pressionando o triângulo na tela de áreas para alternar entre os painéis. Execute as áreas definidas no segundo painel pressionando L2 e um dos botões. Né? Caçador de tesouros do Dohalim. Eu preciso pegar as skills dele urgente.
That treasure. What a sweet sounding ring it has.
You really think so?
I must keep striving.
You can ease off yourself.
Pot calls the kettle black.
Good advice for all of us, to be honest.
Nós estamos com 39 minutos já. Deixa eu voltar ali no acampamento, não vou nem prosseguir.
Finally, some open space again.
Eu quero ver uma coisa aqui. Ah, ó, já dá pra fazer uma dele. Precisava dessa giga do bico tempestuoso. Músculo semi-humano. Não, de semi-humano. Ah, eu tenho que fazer essa manopla lá, dá pra poder fazer essa aqui. Puta, mas olha o preço. Meu Deus. Ah, não. Ah, o peixe eu posso vender. 2 peixes deu 800. Pera aí. Acho que eu vou ter que pescar um pouco ali. Pra fazer dinheiro, basicamente. Eu vou fazer essa do Alfen. Então beleza, galera. Eu vou dar uma olhada agora nas armas do pessoal ali. Talvez eu pesque um pouco para fazer dinheiro, para poder fazer mais upgrades ali nas armas. E no próximo vídeo a gente finalmente então parte para a trilha da montanha aqui. Vamos ver o que vai rolar. Então muito obrigado por terem assistido e até a próxima. Valeu!